always grossed me out was the flip-flop with the bottle opener on the bottom of it. It was like, who thought this through? I just stepped in dog shit. Let me open your beer.
He has a good point. Oh, hi there, and welcome to a highly informative and slightly entertaining episode of the Lucky Rock Wine Lounge. I am Jesse Inman.
I think you forgot provocative.
I did.
And I'm Aaron. My cup runneth over with glee, Inman.
Today we will be talking about what some might call alternative drinking vessels, although you've probably used them before.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of traditional glass options out there when it comes to drinking wine. The bowl and stem combinations that Riedel has come out with and some of the other glass producers is a little bit crazy. I mean, I feel like there's a glass just for your birthday or possibly your divorce party.
Yeah, it's kind of like a crackhead. You know, if they don't have a crack pipe, they'll find something.
Yeah.
Well, these drinking vessels might not be in your kitchen. They probably will be. They're pretty accessible.
Yeah, but let's say you're going over to a friend's house and you're gonna bring a nice bottle of wine, and maybe this particular friend only drinks Kool-Aid.
Oh, yeah. Whoa!
So what are you gonna do then?
Perhaps a shoe.
Perhaps a shoe. That's convenient, yet disgusting. So I think we'll move on from the shoe.
Yeah, although I drank off a flip-flop recently.
You know,
He was from New Zealand.
always grossed me out was the flip-flop with the bottle opener on the bottom of it. It was like, who thought this through? I just stepped in dog shit. Let me open your beer.
He has a good point. As we launch ourselves into this incredibly informative episode, we'll be contrasting what you would normally get from a wine glass and what that has to offer versus what you lack or gain from drinking out of these alternative drinking vessels. Hey Aaron, how are people supposed to learn about Lucky Rock Wine Lounge?
Well, for people to learn about Lucky Rock Wine Lounge, we have to beat the algorithm.
How do we do that?
We need you to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification so we can beat the algorithm and get into everybody's home.
Yeah, fight the Matrix, bro.
But before we get into looking at these alternative vessels, let's talk a little bit about what is traditional glass. Why do people use traditional glasses?
I mean, outside of feeling like a fancy pants, which sometimes drinking out of a wine glass, I mean, I'm like when I'm dressed like this and I'm drinking out of a wine glass like this, I'm like, I feel a little too fancy. I don't know.
There's a little bit of cliche going on there.
Yeah.
You basically got the traditional glass gives you that volatilization of the aromas of the wine, and it also captures them and kind of consolidates them so you can smell them a little bit more impactfully, I guess. And then the stem helps keep the bowl it keeps it having a consistent temperature as opposed to if you have your hands on it and you're warming it up. The other thing is with the sizes, a lot of times that's a temperature thing. A lot of times you'll see a smaller wine glass that'll be for a white wine that you want to keep the chill, because the larger the bowl, the faster the wine warms up.
Yeah, white wine glasses typically are a little bit more narrow.
Yeah, and so it's not really like rocket science, but there are a couple reasons when somebody's just like, "Why are you drinking out of a wine glass? You just a total turd, you douchebag." No, I mean there's a couple.
Yes,
possibly in my instance, most likely.
But it's just like everything. Like the better the guitar player you are, the more picky you are about what you're playing with, right? And so same thing with the drinking vessel. If you're a crazy wine fan, you're gonna want to get every little detail and every little ounce down to the tradition.
Yes, totally. And you can't deny people's perception of things. That's huge with wine. I mean, tons of people have done the experiments where they pour a wine, tell you it's expensive, pour one, they tell you it's cheap. And we had an episode where we did that with a noobs. And if you tell somebody it's expensive, they tend to perceive that it's more expensive.
Kind of like a Pepsi challenge.
Yeah, 100%. And so, even though I don't know what that means.
This is the taste. This is the test. Pepsi versus Coke. The Pepsi Challenge. Pepsi. And all across America, more people pick Pepsi. Time after time after time.
I don't drink Pepsi. I'm a Coke guy. We're looking for sponsors, Coke. You're drinking wine, you want to feel a little fancy, you want to feel like, hey, I'm paying a little more attention to this food that I prepared. And
sometimes they wear women's underwear.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their thing. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that you can't ignore that part too. Like maybe you're drinking out of an alternative vessel and you're kind of not taking your wine drinking experience as seriously. Some people, that's important to them. To me, it's very situational.
Now that Aaron and I have beat that subject like a dead horse.
Ooh, that's gonna make a great GIF.
Yeah, for real. First up is Red Solo Cup. These are hefty brand. But looking for sponsors.
It's the episode of like basically groveling for sponsors.
So we have all the vessels except for we're going to drink out of a can. Spoiler alert. But we don't have this wine in a can. But for the rest of them, we'll be drinking the same wine to evaluate how it tastes comparatively. I hate the way that sounds when it pours.
At a lot of parties that you're going to have, this is going to be the vessel, the versatile vessel that you're going to have. It's going to have your whiskey, you can have your beer, you can have your wine. You know, so what are you giving up when you're drinking the wine out of it?
Yeah. And would you say Grenache would benefit from a big bowl typically when you're drinking out of it?
I would say yes. I usually drink my Grenaches out of like a Pinot bowl.
Yeah, because the amount of opening up that a Grenache, especially this Grenache, it's
younger.
It's younger and it's more Pinot-esque with more tannins. It would benefit from like more air. And so just sniffing this thing.
Plus it smells a little bit like plastic.
It smells like plastic.
So there's that. I mean, if you're super into plastic, you're not going to have an issue.
No. If you love the smell of gasoline, plastic, and skunks, then right up your alley.
Yeah. So there's that. You know, so I guess the pros of it, right? Super versatile, super cheap. Cons, kind of smells like plastic. Hard to kind of get a lot of smell out of here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to swirl. But also, I don't feel fancy.
No, I don't feel Millennium Falcon fancy either.
No. So it'll get the job done.
Doesn't change the taste per se. Even though that's one thing about traditional wine glasses, why they make such a big deal about the smell, is about 90% of, roughly give or take, of what you taste is actually smell based.
Yes, olfactory. That's your nose. There's retro nostril. Sounds dumb. It is, but it's where all the smells, they kind of come up here while you're tasting, and it develops a large portion of your taste is smell.
Yeah. So overall on this one,
Yeah.
For wine, meh.
Yeah.
Not gonna like.
It's the alternative crack pipe. It'll do if it has to.
Yeah. It's the old tin can smoking weed.
We used to skateboard.
Numero dos is the Go Vino.
Go Vino. Good branding, right? Just in the name, because you can drink it on the go. No drinking and driving, please.
Yeah, and these things came out around 2006-ish. These are my personal Go Vinos. I like them. They get a lot of use in my house. They're relatively cheap compared to like decent wine glasses. You can buy a 4-pack on Amazon for like $19.99. They're reusable. They're dishwasher safe.
They won't melt, huh?
Yeah, they won't melt. I found that out, that they won't melt.
I've seen some, maybe they're top rack or something, because I've seen some melted ones here and
Yeah,
there.
I think maybe there's some like knockoff ones too. But so they're dishwasher safe. And then, you know, the nice thing is they've got that swirlability that we're talking about. So you can get...
Do these smell like plastic a little bit to you?
No, to me they don't.
Maybe I just have a way better palate than you do.
Yeah, that's probably not true. But no, so you can. I'm smelling the wine pretty nicely out of these compared to like the Solo Cup, which is shocking no one. Now maybe some of the downfalls. Oh, you know, also American made. Go Vino's an American made, is an American company.
And they have this little handy dandy finger spot over here. That's real sweet.
Yeah, and you don't have to buy them with those. Only if you're an extra turd bag.
These are
I
yours,
did say
right?
these were mine. Yes. So the cons of these, they are stemless. So you're getting your grubby little hands. Let's say you know, maybe broke through the toilet paper a little bit, didn't wash, you're not a hand washer. Now you're using your glass.
That's right.
You know, because there's no stem.
That's
So
right.
I actually read that on a website
Really?
about the negatives of the cons of stemless glasses, and I was like, who the hell is gonna drink wine out of a stemless glass that has shit on their finger?
Like,
But that was an actual con on this blog. It was crazy.
the internet, I guess they were looking like, I did say 9 things. I need that 9th thing. Well, poop.
I want to know what the key word was that they were using for their blog. Yeah. Interesting. So you have that. You do have the temperature. Your hand's going to warm this up.
I do like that you can see it. Like the red Solo Cup, you can't see even if it's did I have red or white? Which one's mine?
Sure.
Can't see how much is in it.
Yeah. Your name's going to be on it or
so
something.
anyway, you can see that this is either a Pinot or a Grenache, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a Nebbiolo.
What's that? Anyways, super solid choice.
Thirdly, we have the Mason jar.
If you're drinking, you know, throwing parties in the summertime, that kind of thing, these are nice. Similar to the red Solo Cup, where they're versatile.
It's glass, Downside, it's breakable.
Breakable. Swirlability is better in these than the red Solo Cup because they're tapered at the top. Yeah, this is not bad at all. And you can also seal it, if you're like at a to-go kind of situation. You are getting your grubby little hands all over it, little poop fingers. So there's that, The other thing that I would say about this is when you're not drinking out of it, you can use it for pickling. Pickling carrots, pickling onions.
I do have this bottle of wine, but my pickles. What am I going to do with my pickles? Now that I'm comparing and contrasting against the other ones, it's a pretty good option.
That's way superior to this red Solo Cup.
And it also makes you be like, I'm not super fancy.
Yeah, if you want to have like a nice drinking experience of wine, but you have like a complex about looking like a douchebag, then I think a mason jar is a nice road for you.
Yeah. So we couldn't find a sponsor, so we just sponsored ourselves. So obviously, fourth and final is the can. If you're drinking out of a can, there's some pluses and minuses. Yeah. Again, warms your can up, but it also chills much faster.
It chills very fast.
Super fast.
Yeah, it's the aluminum. It's kind of like the beer thing. I mean, you could put this in the fridge and it's going to chill super fast. It's portable. This is a nice 250 ml size, so it's single serving.
You obviously miss the nose.
Yeah, you don't get. It's just it's a small hole, so you're not getting a lot of the aroma that you would get out of the other vessels that we've tried.
But it's portable. It's crushable.
Tastes good.
It's recyclable. And wine in a can is, in the grand scheme, pretty new. It's been around for a while, but very limited number of brands. And so winemakers are learning how to put wine in a can because there's certain winemaking practices you have to follow. Otherwise, the wine can go real fast. And so the wine quality is getting a little bit better just by having a little bit of history under your belt.
Yeah, and so the cons of it, kind of like Jesse said, sometimes you can have a little bit of reduction in some of the wines because it's an inert environment. People are figuring out how to make the wines to put them in can to where they really show their best. One of the other cons you can have with them too is even though it's growing your options in can, it's not like nothing compared to bottles. Yeah. Like if you want, there's every kind of wine under the sun in a bottle. Not quite as many options yet in a can, but they are growing. But that can be a little bit of a con currently. And then also, like we said, you are holding it, so it is going to be warming up if you're sapping on that thing over like a half hour.
Yeah, this thing you can, it's sealed, so you can to and fro, up, down, left, right, but it does inhibit some of the smelling.
Yeah, you just don't get some of the aromas that you get out of the other drinking vessels.
Yeah, this 3 of these is 1 bottle, so. Also, nice little single serving.
Cool. All right, I think that's all I got to say about alternative drinking vessels. I think it was a super solid episode. I know you guys learned a lot, and we got to talk a lot.
Yeah.
So that's
actually blacked out for the. I was like,
so it's just like New Year's.
No. Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.